Now that the core of our development environment is installed, we can install the Laravel framework and get started developing our application.
Let's switch back over to the documentation and see how to do this. Okay, so heading back up to documentation, we'll go to installation. And we're going to say, it says install Composer. Well, if we switch back over to our terminal and type in Composer, you'll see the Composer is already installed, so we don't have to worry about that. A large amount of this stuff is installed for us right out of the gate, which helps us tremendously, and that's why Homestead is such a great product to use. So next thing we're going to do is install and create via Composer our project. So here you'll see a command, Composer, create project, Laravel, preferred dist, which is going to be, in this case, the latest version. So we are going to copy this command over and paste it into our terminal to install Laravel. Now, just a simple paste could work, but we're going to go over here, and after the final Laravel here, we're going to define the folder that it's going to be in. And in this case, it's going to be Laravel Basics. Now hit enter, and it will begin to install Laravel for us. This may take some time, so feel free to take another break. Okay, let's clear our screen and take a look at the directory now. Now here we have a Laravel Basics directory. We'll change directory into the Laravel Basics and do another listing. Okay, so here we have a full install of Laravel ready to go. Okay, so inside of our Laravel folders here, you'll see a public folder. So if we switch to that directory, and then run the print working directory command, or pwd, we'll see home, vagrant, sites, Laravel basics / public. Now, let's switch back over to our YAML file from earlier and make sure that this string matches what was in our sites string. So here we're mapping to home, vagrant, sites, Laravel basics, public. Home, vagrant, sites, Laravel basics, public. Looks good. So if all works out, we should be able to go to 127.0.0.1 inside of our browser and see our Laravel test site, which would have worked just fine, but I forgot to add the :8000, which tells us that Laravel will run on the 8000 port. Okay, you have arrived. So that tells us we have successfully installed Laravel. It is on localhost 127.0.0.1, but we know that it's running inside of a virtual environment or a virtual box using Vagrant and using a Laravel Homestead. The last step that we want to do here is make this a little nicer, getting rid of the 127.0.0.1 and replacing it with our expected URL, which was laravel.dev, which we set up earlier. The way we're going to need to connect those two is by changing our host file on our local machine. So I'm going to walk through the process of doing it on OS X. There are several guides out there to do it on other operating systems. So what we're going to do is head back over to our terminal, locate our hosts file, open it up, and edit it. So to get to our host file, we're going to need to exit the Vagrant box. So the way we do that is type the command exit, and now it'll show we have logged out and we are back to our regular local machine. Here, we're going to navigate to cd/etc. There is a lot of files in here, but we are concerned with the hosts file. So we're going to use the sudo command so we can have root permissions to edit, then subl for Sublime, and then hosts. All right, so here we have our host file, and we're going to add pretty much a mimic here of this particular line right at the very top. So I'm going to paste this in, and I'm going to modify it at points 127.0.0.1 at laravel.dev. Save that file, quit out, and let's check to see if it works now. And it does. We are going to laravel.dev :8000, and it is taking us to our You Have Arrived Laravel PHP framework site.